Hi, I'm Pat Backer. I'm the new, or the interim director, I'm saying interim director of the GTI program. For the last couple years, it's been Dr. Richard Chung, who's in the audience. You can turn around and look at him. I'm happy to introduce the presentations from our GTI trip this summer. So we're at the end of this, we're going to announce the new GTI, which is going to be for next year. I'm going to do that at the end, but I want to tell you a little bit about the Global Technology Program. So we've been doing this for about 15 years, and we've gone to China, and then we went to India, then we went back to China, and now we're in Taiwan. So next summer, we are going to go back to Taiwan. We are looking to possibly change where we're going in subsequent years, but you know, that takes time and effort and things like that. But I am very happy to introduce most of the students who went this summer to Taiwan and are part of the Global Technology Institute 2018. They're going to do a presentation for you, and they will introduce themselves as they do the presentation. So here they are.
All right. Hello, brief and small audience, but thank you for coming. This is 7 out of 8 of the people who went, and they will introduce themselves as their slides come up. So let's get going.
Okay. So actually, we wanted to introduce like the program itself. So there's 2 programs that actually get held in Taiwan. But before introducing the programs, I'm Chelsea. I'm Chelsea, and I was part of the IIALE program, which stands for the International Industrial Academic Leadership Experience Program, and it was more focused towards engineering and building like an engineering prototype. Yeah, so this is the overview of our presentation today. So we got split into groups. So there's seminars, team project, there's the business company visits, like the field trips, and then there's also the cultural trips. Okay, so we're gonna start with the seminars. Okay, so with the IIALE seminars, so there's 7 total that we had. And with these lectures and seminars that we had, they're roughly around 3 hours long. Depending on the schedule itself, they could be morning sessions or afternoon sessions. So here I listed the times, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., and then 2 to 5 p.m. And during each hour, the presenter usually give you like 10-minute breaks just to ease your mind and digest all the material that's happening in that lecture. So here are the 7 lectures and seminars that we had during our time for the program. So I've listed it here. So we started with the first one from Dylan Sung. They gave us like a little brief introduction of Taiwan. The second one was from Joe Vanstrom. He covered like 3D printing and manufacturing. Third one was Fred, talking about like the environment and how you could like be a sustainable engineer. Lecture number 4 was David C. Yu, where he talked about like power engineering. So those who are like interested in like EE, he talked more about that. Lecture 5 was Aline Kung. She talked more about telecommunications, which was a new type of like information for myself. Number 6 was Ren, and he talked about more robotics. And number 7 was Professor Wilkeser Otieno, and she talked more about like the IoT. And so, next slide. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to show a couple of the photos that I've took during these lectures. So during these lectures, it's just like interactive discussions. You could see here from lecture 1 that we had in the big hall on the first day, just talking about like fun information about Taiwan. And the second lecture, again, it was like a professor from Iowa State, and he just talks about more about like the manufacturing processes. So just like all the lectures that you have here at San Jose State, they were kind of run the same way. And here's another picture from Fred, and you can see they're very interactive. He was giving away candy if you answered questions during lecture. And then more pictures here. There are photographers during lectures as well, so that they could keep some photos for you. But yeah, you could see here that they give you like lecture slides, and it's just more like 3-hour lectures. Lecture number 5, again, with Elaine, it's just they present the lectures for you and they give you the information. And with robotics, you could see Professor Ren Luo. Again, it's just lecture slides and they provide like tons of graphs for you. And in the last lecture, you could see how interactive it was with the students throughout the seminars as well. So overall, the lectures in Taiwan, they're interactive discussions. You learn about a lot of different disciplines, and they did have dress code. So going into Taiwan for lectures, you would have to wear like closed-toed shoes. And they do print like lecture notes for you, and they want to hear back from you. So they offer you like feedback if you have any like advice for the next couple lectures. And yeah, here's Roman.
Hi, I'm Roman Mateo, and I was part of the ELE, along with 2 others. And our lectures were set up, it was numbered such that they were different, but actually they were kind of the same for most of them, except for like the first day. Our first lecture was also by Dylan Sung. It was all together with everybody. And then this is our first ELE lecture, and it was just kind of an overview of what is entrepreneurship. Same with the second one, was kind of like social enterprise, and these were 2 very non-interactive lectures, just kind of an intro to entrepreneurship. And then our third lecture, you started really diving into teamwork with your group, designing an idea, thinking up an idea, brainstorming, and working with your groups for that. And our fourth lecture, moving on, was a lot more interactive. So you took everything in your ideas, and then you're going to be putting it into a business model. And this one was really very interactive. Good lecture. I like this one a lot, actually. It's probably one of my favorites. Moving on, we had one that was just kind of a fun lecture where we just made a bag and you did your own design and they showed you how to print it. And then our last 3 were focused around putting together a business plan and then practicing your business pitch. So during your lectures, you have 3 basic goals. It's you want to learn, you want to listen to the lectures because these are entrepreneurs who have their own businesses or co-founders of businesses. And you want to learn what they're really telling you, and you want to lead your group. You are going to be looked at as the leader of your group most times, so you want to make sure that you have effective leadership skills. And then present. If you're not comfortable presenting, you should get comfortable presenting. If you are comfortable presenting, then help your group out because most of your team are probably not going to be very good or very comfortable presenting. And then have fun. You know, it's serious, but there's a lot of times when it's a lot of fun. You're working with these people, you're going to get to know them a lot, and you want to really have a good experience. I had a question last year of the next one, so our dress code was really laid back. They know it's hot there. You wear a tank top, you wear a t-shirt. You don't have to be, it's the entrepreneurship camp, business, whatever. You don't have to be business casual. So except for the days that you have field trips and the last day where you have a presentation to give, it's pretty casual. Now we're going to be talking about the projects. Group projects. 2.
So my name is Tu, and we're going to be presenting about group projects, and this is Leo. So for the overview, we have 2, like they mentioned, we have 2 types, the research and entrepreneurship. And it's like for research, we just continue in the projects that the advisor already have for us, and they will be given the list of topics for us to pick during the summer. And it's a group of 4 to 5 students with the advisor and the student assistant. And the project's goal was to, for the entrepreneurship, it's a group of 6 to 8 students, also with the help of the TA and the advisor, and it's to design a business plan and potentially to pitch for a potential investor.
All right, so my name is Leo, and the purpose of these team projects was to overall work with one another from each different parts of the world. For example, there was usually 2 Americans in a group, and then one American in a group, and then 2 Taiwanese, and then someone else from a different part. My group, for example, had 2 Taiwanese, 1 American, and 1 from Japan. And this was to encourage people to work together, because if you're from a different part of the world, you get a different perspective on things, so that helped, the goal, help improve everyone's thinking and efficiency to work for the goal. And so this is the topics for the ALE program. My topic in particular was the Internet of Medical Things and the healthcare system implementation. Thanks. And these were the topics for the ELE program, just here. Next.
And I will give you guys a short description of my project. So for my project, we are testing the degradable microneedles for vaccination. And the microneedle that we make, as you can see in the photo right there, is made of mixed gelatin and water through the heating process. And the purpose of our research was to test for the solubility and the mechanical strength of each microneedles. You can see. And this is like the rundown of our projects. Next. And these are the 2 tests that we did for our projects. The first one is the water test, and the second one is a mechanical strength test. So we attached the micro needles to the ear of the mouse. Okay.
All right, so my project was to design an app that would be able to read your heartbeat and allow you to see it from anywhere in the world, as long as it's connected to the internet. And right here is just, on the right side, you see an example of how our app looked on the Apple. So the whole point was to use a device to scan and read your heartbeat, and that device would send through Bluetooth to your phone, and you would be able to read that data from anywhere. So at the end of our project, we would have to present it, and our overall thoughts about our projects overall was that it was exciting to work with everyone from all over the world. It was really, really interesting to see how the work ethics of everyone differed from different parts of the world, and it was a lot of fun. And these are just pictures of our different groups. And that's it. Who's next?
Oh, this way, okay.
You guys got to enjoy the pictures once.
All right, here we are. Hi, everyone. Praneeth, biomedical engineering major, final year. I'm going to talk about some of the ALE company visits. So every week we would have 1 to 2 company visits where we would go to either a company such as the Pacific Cycles, or going to a government-operated incineration plant for waste disposal. So the first place that we went to during the visit was the Bali incineration plant, and after that we went to the Juming Art Museum. Bali incineration plant was a way to dispose of waste in a safe manner that also produced energy. A big problem that we have in America is the size of our landfills. Taiwan tackled that with their small landmass, saying, let's just burn it, that way we don't have to deal with land space usage. So that's what they did. We got to check out all the facilities. This is the operating crane. Believe it or not, that thing's the size of multiple cars. It is huge, scary, and terrifying. And down there, you see that the factory, it's like, I think the smokestack is several stories tall, and it's right next to the ocean. But this is completely safe because the tsunamis that hit the island occur on the other side. And another great thing is that they actually built an entire rainforest man-made after they built the factory so that they wouldn't harm the local ecology. And they let it off to itself, and now it's completely self-sustaining. Oh, sorry. So yeah, and then after that, we went to the Juming Art Museum. Juming is a very famous, world-renowned sculptor, and he uses a lot of different abstract ideas and concepts and puts them into ways that we can connect with. We might not be able to understand it, but we connect with it. For example, down here, this construction machine was one of the pieces of equipment he used in the building of his museum. It broke down multiple times, and finally, when it was unrepairable, took it apart, and he made it into a sculpture to commemorate the hard work that it was put to use with. And on the right side, you have Chelsea and Karen underneath the giant paper lantern. And this is a famous scholar who invented gunpowder in China. So this is actually made from wood or stone. And he uses a lot of different mediums. The big thing that he mentioned was that if you want to grow, you can never stagnate with something. If you're good with working with wood, okay. But if you want to keep growing, you got to try stone, you got to try metal, you got to try paint. So big philosophical tour almost, and it was breathtaking in one word. Next places that we went to were the Science Park Exploration, Tunnel Museum, and ITRI. ITRI was the International Technology Research Institute, and yeah, so, oh, that was it, okay. So yeah, essentially those three places were where Taiwan had some of its greatest technological achievements. The tunnel, for example, was run through the entire island, and that took a period of 13 years, I believe. It was a very long time. And essentially, they did it by hand, by blowing it with dynamite and pickaxes, because the giant tunnel boring machine wouldn't work because of the difference in rock types. And then we also checked out some of the latest technological innovations, like there's a lot, but yeah, so. And lastly, we went to the Robert Wonderland and Museum of the Pacific Cycles Manufacturing Company. Robot Wonderland was a place where they showed us how the latest robotic technology is headed and where it is right now. For example, we tried out a shooting range with a virtual sim pistol. It wasn't as accurate, but the recoil and everything was extremely lifelike. They also showed us how new things such as umbrellas that could sense the humidity or the rainfall and open automatically. If you have a restaurant with 100 tables, do you want to send a person or 10 people to open umbrellas for 100 tables in the span of 10 seconds? Or do you want to let them open themselves just like that? Especially in a place like Taiwan with tropical weather, where rainfall comes and goes, things like umbrellas that open on their own is super important. Then Pacific Cycles, it was actually very interesting because they've been working for several decades, and they've made out huge innovations in bicycle technology. And a lot of techniques that they told us about is that, for example, you don't have patents in the bicycle industry because you have so many tiny changes and innovations that it's impossible to follow it up with the legal paperwork. So you make the innovation, you sell it, keep moving on. And they had some crazy and insane ideas. For example, a folding bicycle that you could carry like a backpack and just go around the city. So they had urban designs, they had serious athletic designs. One of them, I don't know if you guys have seen a video about a bicyclist who went up a mountain. Yeah, but essentially it had springs and crazy suction tires that you could use to go up rocks and everything. So they made all these things. Giant Bicycles was another sub-brand that they have. And they showed us what their process was, their factory, automation, and all that stuff. So it was cool. And yeah, so this is at Pacific Cycles, where we got to try out some of the bicycles. This was a seated tricycle. Then you had an electric one down there somewhere. 2 is there on the 2-wheeler urban bicycle. That's the folding one. And even though it has small wheels, it goes really fast. It's really fun. This one was a bumper car sort of thing that you sat down in and rammed into people. And then, what do we have here? Yeah, so that's one of the folding bicycles. As you can see, you can pretty much close it in half, but it's not one of the portable ones. And then down all the way, I don't remember what that's from, but yeah. And then the Ely business visits. I'm gonna let you guys talk about that. Okay. So they went. Ely went on a different. I can talk about it because I was there. Yeah, exactly. You know.
All right. Hi, my name's Cole Green. I was part of the ELE business or entrepreneurship side of things. I'm not familiar with these parts of the slides, but I'll do my best. So one of the first trips that we went to was to a, what did they call them? A social enterprise, which essentially is it's right up there. A social enterprise is a business or startup that tailors towards solving a social problem. So in this case, the Dialogue in the Dark and the IINNO, Global Startup Platform Technologies, that's not the one I thought it was, sorry. They try to solve some kind of social problem. The Dialogue in the Dark was specifically tailored towards the visually impaired. So what they had us do was go into a completely dark room and try to do a bunch of group activities together to experience how difficult it is to live without sight. And we were supposed to derive some meaning from this. Next, I guess. So I believe on this first image here, that was the bakery? Okay, this was a pineapple cake factory that I was not part of. Roman, you can see, is getting married on the bottom right. So while this was a very serious trip and we did learn a lot, there was also, they have very good humor there, which is something we'll talk about in the cultural side of the presentation, which is a little bit later. So this was at it's an accelerator. Thank you. And what they do is they have rentable spaces for businesses to come or startups to come and rent. And what you do is you have access to all sorts of different types of technology, which allows you to prototype quicker and develop your product in a more efficient and quick way. And what they had us do was talk to some of these startups afterwards. You can see my group on your far right, looking at a presentation that this fellow gave to us about his pen, which would not actually function unless you were having the proper posture and lighting. So it would actually prevent you from, say, it was to prevent you from getting nearsightedness by overstraining your eyes in the dark. So they wanted you to have proper penmanship. We consulted with him about developing our startup, which was the initial point of going to all these, was to see how startups are run so that we can, in turn, develop our own. Next slide. The cultural trips. This is my section. I know what's coming. So we went on 2 cultural trips. We were there for 3 weeks. So every weekend, we got to go on a cultural trip where we would experience the very diverse culture of Taiwan. This particular trip to Sun Moon Lake, you can see there's a lake there. That is the lake. Sun Moon Lake has an Aboriginal village, which I believe was down over to my left here, or your left. And you get to walk around through this little village and see almost what it's developed into since the time of the Aborigines. And many of them were ethnically Aboriginal, I believe. And it was quite enjoyable. They are all very kind to foreigners, I must say, and they have delicious food. I recommend trying it if you're not too afraid and have your vaccinations. Next slide. This gentleman here will, if he's still around next year, will make sure that you have the best time. If he asks you, do you want to go do something, you say yes. He'll keep you safe. You say yes. His name is Hui. He is your God. Next slide. Here we are at Sun Moon Lake at the beginning part, where you can see we were all craving selfies. And then we took the cable car up through the mountains and down the other side of the nearest mountain to where the Sun Moon Lake was, which is named thusly because apparently one side looks like a sun and the other side looks like a moon. It looked like a lake to me. Next slide. And more images of Sun Moon Lake. They were very interested in the phallus. as opposed to our cultural obsession with women's figures. There were a variety of other wood carvings, such as the owl, which I believe was their tribal symbol of some kind. There were a lot of owls or predatory birds. They also had an amusement park for your entertainment, which I recommend. It was very fun despite the large quantities of rain. It was amazing. Continue. And now I will hand things over to my partner, Leslie.
Hi guys, my name is Leslie. I was part of the entrepreneurship program, but I will be talking to you about the Elan Cultural Village. This village was actually pretty nice. You got an idea of just open spaces as well as a lot of shopping was done here. So this is part of the open space. There's a lot of artwork, and it was just a really, really nice walk. So here are more of the space. I took a panoramic picture so you guys can get a nice idea of what it was. There was a theater. There were houses there. It was empty the time we went, which was really nice because you truly got to appreciate the beauty of the place. A lot of food and just mainly shopping for me, or if you're a girl, this is the place where you get knickknacks and little stuff. So because it was such a short time there wasn't too much to do. That Saturday we went to another place. We went to the night market. Even though this isn't the time that same day, it's kind of an example of stuff that we did do. So we went to this restaurant where we got our pedicures with the fish. As you can see, it was an interesting shock and feeling. And on the other side, it's the night market. That's another big thing. Even though this wasn't on a one-day basis, the night markets are definitely a big part of the culture there. You can do, it's mainly eating. There's, again, shopping. And it's just a nice time to walk, be with friends, get to know the other people from the different schools. That was the best part. I know some of our students here, they went with the people from, what was the other school? Utah, I think? No. Wisconsin, sorry. There was people from Wisconsin. They were fun people too. And the Japanese and then just the Taiwanese students, they were really great. So night market was another thing to do. And here's some of us just enjoying the nightlife. There is a curfew of 10 p.m., but even then, you really did enjoy the time spent here. And you have plenty of time to do so. All right, so that was kind of our trip. This is all of us saying goodbye to Hui and David, which were our guides, great friends. And do you guys have any questions for us? It can be anything from the programs we did or from the cultural trips, perhaps. Yes?
So, since you guys were in Catalan, did you guys, encounter any language problems?
Huh? Okay, so her question was if we encountered any language barriers. At least my experience, I was doing the entrepreneurship part. When I first met my group, nobody wanted to talk. That is definitely a thing, and I do believe that they were a little shy about it. After the first week, they did start speaking up, and even though the English was a little bit off, their English was really great, but it was just building that confidence. And as an English speaker, it was learning how to pronunciate your words and not talk super fast. So it was just talking slow, being able to pronounce your words. But definitely a barrier was not so much the language, it was the confidence. As mentioned before, we went to this activity where we were put in the dark. One of my group members, her English was perfect in the dark. Her confidence went up the roof and her English was perfect. But when the lights came on, she would not speak to you in English. So that was definitely a barrier. Not so much the language, the confidence. Any of you?
So yeah, language was challenging. For example, if you want to go get food, a lot of people knew some English, but not very conversational. Of course, everyone in the program was fairly well versed in English, but when you went out to the night markets or you wanted to purchase something or like, how much is this? Google Translate was very handy. It was extremely handy, and more than once it saved me.
I bought a dress through Google Translate. I just put how much, showed it to the person, and he put the amount. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And don't barter without a native speaker. You will get fleeced.
Any other questions? It can be also about the program. Yeah.
So, okay.
So you said, having gone and experienced Taiwan, would we go back potentially to work or experience Taiwan again? Personally, and I think I speak for mostly everyone, I'd say we'd all go back for sure. We made some amazing friends there I'm sure that I will keep in touch with for the rest of my life. In terms of work, it's very similar to Silicon Valley. They have a very strong work ethic there. At least the individuals that I got to work with myself. Even though they weren't all from STEM backgrounds, they were all extremely hard workers. They are dedicated people from what I can tell. So yes, to answer your question, I would go back. The culture, aside from just the work ethic, I don't mean to make it all seem just like that. The place is phenomenal. It's very tropical. You got to get used to that humidity and that heat, but that's just one barrier. Anyone else? All right. Thank you for attending.
No, we're not done yet.
Well, no, but just thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Not go home.
Yeah, don't leave yet, because I want to talk about next year. So, as I said, I am the interim director of GTI, because Dr. Chung got a promotion. He's now department chair. So the dean has decided that he's too busy to do this, because he has to run a whole department and many, many majors. So I am taking over this year. So we are going back to Taiwan next summer. And when you go this, you're going to travel to Taiwan. And as I said, when you go to the university, you connect with students from all over the world. And we want to encourage you to apply for the program next year. There are some changes. We're doing only a 1-unit course in spring, which is going to be an introduction to Taiwan and, international travel, health issues, a lot of the same structural things that they went through, like a briefing about international travel, the requirements for health and things like that. But it's also going to include some background on Taiwan. The tentative dates are July 1st to July 20th. That can change plus or minus 3 or 4 days either way, because they haven't set the summer schedule for next summer yet, but that's the expected summer schedule. You usually travel a few days before the opening. It starts on a Monday. Normally, you travel on a Friday or Saturday, so you get there a couple days to acclimate yourself to Taiwan. So as they said before, you choose, while you're still here in the United States, sometimes in March or April you choose whether you want to work in a research lab with a professor, and every year there's different research opportunities available. It depends on which professors are working and doing it that year. Or you work on an entrepreneurship program, as they discussed, where you develop an innovative product and business models. All of these are done with students from other countries and also from other parts of the United States. So to be eligible, you have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent U.S. resident. You have to be a junior or senior at San Jose State, and your graduation date has to be December 2019 or later. You have to have a minimum 2.5 GPA at San Jose State and overall. The details on this is the timeline. I'm you know, it's all on the web page, and that's the web page. So if you go to this web page, there's lots more details about the GTI program, and at the bottom of the page, there's a big button, which I'm going to go to, and hopefully it'll work. Hold on. So trust me, it works. I tried it today. It works. I don't know why it's not working, but let's see. So anyway, it does work. So you can apply through the link on this page. There's a link that says apply, and that's all you have to do is apply. So to go back, the deadline to apply is in October. Let me see. Let me go back to it. Here it is. Okay. So the deadline to apply is October 19th. Oh, it's not on the screen. That's weird. Sorry. Now it's on. That was weird. It was on my screen, but not this screen. So the deadline to apply is October 19th. We notify the semifinalists by November 2nd. We have a week where you sign up for interviews, and the finalists are notified November 30th, and the classes for spring and the tour dates are down there. So the key is you can't get in unless you apply. And so the students will tell you, some of them applied 2 years in a row before they got in, but it's a matter of applying. We screen the applicants who apply, and so there's a pool that gets smaller for the semifinalists, and then we interview the semifinalists. Dr. Chung and I interviewed them. We've been doing this for like, I don't know, 6 years, maybe 6 years. Been interviewing, oh no, 10 years. Oh my God. We've been doing this for about 10 years. So we do interview the finalists, and then we choose them and let you know. So we really hope that you will apply and pass the word to other people. If you're interested, I have a flyer, or you can go to the website, which is, you know, linked to the, it's all, there's posted all over the building, the information about this. My student assistant posted all over. So does anyone have any questions about the GTI program from me? Any final questions from me or for any of the people who went this year? Okay, if there's no questions, thank you very much for coming. Oh, Dr. Chung wants to say something.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Professor Becker for helping me and assisting me for over 10 years. Yeah, and we started out with sending 25, now only 8. I'm not sure it's productive or not, but anyway, we have done our best to send the best students to either China and Taiwan. And secondly, I like to acknowledge that our students who just presented a presentation today, they have done the marvelous work for the entire year. Starting November 2017, when they got notification they are finalists, then they got through all kinds of hurdles by taking courses for their regular courses and also take the Tech 198 for 3 units the entire spring semester. And then they got through their preparation and so on and so forth. So they got to this point. It's a big achievement to them, because beginning they was just sitting in the audience, and then they got into this stage experience, a broad experience. So I hope this will impact their education and career for a long time. And I just want to take this opportunity to acknowledge their hard work and persistence. Thank you very much.